With over 300 breeds around the world, horses are a divine species existing for over millions of years. Whether it's a Clydesdale pulling a heavy cart, or a quarter horse going on a trail ride, all these horses have one thing in common. They have hoofs that need to be upkept. Working hand in hand with a veterinarian, a farrier works on the hoof care on horses. With an in-depth knowledge of anatomy on the hoof, a farrier's job ranges from a simple hoof trimming to saving a horse from infection. The job of a farrier is to ensure the health and well-being of a hoof. While it may sound simple, a farrier must know more than just the basic cleaning of a hoof. Travis Burns, Chief of Farrier Services from the American Farrier Association, explains the duties of a farrier.
Being a farrier, the average farrier, most farriers travel farm to farm and take care of any number of, horses, donkeys, and mules. The majority of them, again, we go out and we're the profession that does trim the horse's hooves or the equine hooves.
To work on these majestic animals, a farrier can go through a range of educational levels. From no college to a PhD, this career hits it all.
Several privately funded farrier schools around the U.S., and they range anywhere from 2 weeks to a year. A lot of farriers are trained through the apprenticeship system, so meaning, they go and work with a competent professional farrier that trains them over a 6 month to 4 or 5 year long period.
Trimming a horse's hoof is important, not only for the hoof care, but to also relieve pressure and prevent infections.
Preventative health care for the horse. So you trim their hoof really just to remove excess growth. So as the horse's hoof grows, it does put leverage onto the distal limb, which can put stresses and strains on the navicular apparatus, on various different soft tissue structures, including deep digital flexor tendon, the dorsal lamellar interface, whatever. So really, to think about why we trim them to remove excess growth, to decrease the leverage on the distal limb. We also trim to remove any diseased or deteriorated areas.
A common belief is that all horses need horseshoes, but only a small portion of horses need horseshoes.
4 primary reasons to shoe a horse, and one is obviously just protection. The hoof is wearing away faster than it can grow. The second one is a therapeutic thing. So if you're using it to treat various different disease pathologies or compensate for various conformational defects. We also use them to aid in traction. So some of our sport horses, like race horses, 3-day event horses, show jumpers, those type horses all need shoes for an increase in traction. And actually, believe it or not, the reining horses we actually use shoes to have a decrease in their traction. And then there's a big group of horses where we use shoes to alter their gait. So like Tennessee walking horses, saddlebreds, Morgans, Hackneys, to alter or change their gait or increase their animation.
Being a farrier has its own dangers. Only a small margin of error can be allowed in this profession.
So obviously the big ones are you have a human trimming the foot. So occasionally you can trim a horse too short. Human error again in the nailing process. So if you look at driving a nail into the horse's foot, you start the nail in the white line and it kind of travels behind the hoof wall and then exits the hoof wall. But really in doing that, you only have like a margin of error of like a millimeter before you hit a sensitive structure. And inevitably every farrier will have, like 3 to 5 bad nails a year. But when you think about it, if the average foot takes 6 nails and then the horse shot all the way around, that's 4 shoes. So that's 24 nails. And the average farrier will shoe 5 horses a day. So that's roughly 100 nails a day. And then you do that, 5 days a week, that's 500 nails a week. So 3 to 5 is actually a very, very small number. It is a dangerous job. So on this job, we do a lot of things to try to make it safer by training our horses, working in well-lit areas that don't have a lot of obstacles, not a lot of distractions for the horse, like children, dogs. Horse blowing up or the horse acting up is really the most dangerous aspect of it, either injuring itself or injuring the farrier.
Horseshoeing can be done in 2 different ways, hot shoeing and cold shoeing.
The biggest difference is hot shoeing is actually means that we heat up the piece of steel that the shoe is made of, or the shoe itself, and shape it to fit each horse's hoof. So every horse has a different shape of their hoof, And in reality, each foot is different. So the farrier will change the shape of the shoe to make it fit exactly. And you probably get smoother, I guess, more flow to the shape of a shoe if you heat it up to bend it on an anvil versus if you do it cold. Actually, the hot fitting parts, where you take a hot shoe and press it on to the bottom of a horse's foot, obviously doesn't hurt the horse at all if done appropriately. And it does, what it really does for most farriers is there's no way in the world that you can have a foot 100%, flat at a microscopic level. And there's no way a piece of metal is ever 100% perfectly flat. So by taking a hot shoe and burning it on to the horse's foot, you make for perfect wall contact. So you're trying to relieve any high spots and make a mirror image of each other within it.
Springtime can be a high-risk time for a horse to get laminitis. Laminitis is an inflammation of sensitive layers of tissue in the hoof that can cause a horse to go lame.
In laminitis, the bone can become completely unstable within the hoof capsule and actually sink or penetrate the horse's hoof capsule. And so a horse that is obese and then they're exposed to spring grasses or carbohydrate overload or anything like that just makes them more susceptible to laminitis. So keeping them at a well-managed, nutrition balanced diet will go a long way to make sure they have as good a quality of foot as they can. So if a horse isn't meeting its minimal nutritional requirements, the horse's hoof will change. It will have less structural integrity to it.
The health and well-being of a horse starts at the hoof. With the help of a farrier, a horse will stay light on their feet to maintain a happy farm.